Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this evening's ACY Securities webinar. My name is Duncan Cooper. Thanks very much for attending. Just before we move along, if you could read through the risk disclaimer. If you have a question throughout the webinar, just type into the Q&A box for me. If you're watching via our stream on YouTube, I can't see the chat via the webinar. So if you have any questions, you really need to just register for the webinar and join me in the actual webinar so I can answer your questions. So I can't answer any questions that might get put into the YouTube chat. All right, moving along. If you don't know me, I'm your host, Duncan Cooper, Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor at ACY Securities. And I'm a full-time Forex trader. I've been trading the market for more than 15 years and mentoring clients for more than 10. If you need to contact me regarding the webinars, you can email me at duncan.cooper@acy.com. If you want to connect with me at the acy.com website, you can find my analysis at the Market News tab. My video analysis is on the ACY Securities Australia YouTube channel, and you can connect with me via Twitter and LinkedIn there. So this evening, we're doing a live analysis webinar using some of the tools I've been teaching you in the beginner webinar series. And we're going to be starting that rerun on the 2nd of November, Tuesday the 2nd of November. And the topics we have been covering are these on screen. So I'll be using most of these tonight. And also we've covered these topics. So I'll be using some of those topics as well as we're going through the charts tonight. All right. Just looking at the list of people online. I think you all have had a chance to get my charts. What I will do is just go to my charts, bring them up. Here we go. If you want a copy of my charts, I'll just give you a link that you can download a file from. There we go. So if you download the file, it will look like this file just here on screen on my desktop. Just double click on it. It is a RAR file. Let's bring that down a bit. And you'll need RAR software, WinRAR software. That's a free download. Just go and Google it and download it. You just need to move these folders to the MT4 platform folder. Watch the video. It takes 2 minutes. The video is just me showing you how to do it. Reopen up your platform, and then you'll have my configuration applied to your platform. And what it does is it does add a few extra buttons onto the toolbar that I use. There'll be some templates, indices, megatrend, pivot points, daylight saving, and pivot points templates. They'll be put into your templates dropdown. Doesn't delete any templates you have in there already. And down here at the bottom, you'll get my profiles, which are 12 pairs daylight saving, indices, and megatrend. I'm using 12 pairs daylight saving at the moment because Northern Hemisphere is in daylight saving, and these charts are set up to accommodate that change. When daylight saving moves back to normal, I'll be using the 12 pairs. All right. So download, if you like, my setup, and then you can follow along. So first up, we did this last night. So last night went through a live chart analysis and we went through the mega trend. So we'll do that again today. I don't think much has changed, but we'll go through the exercise. I'll just take a couple of minutes. Most pairs are either in a strong uptrend or downtrend. All right, so if you don't know what the mega trend is, then I'm using 2 bands on my charts. If you download my chart layout, you'll be able to set this up or watch it, go into it and have a look. But basically, there's 2 bands on my day charts here. And we look at the day before. We ask ourselves, are we closing above or below the bands? If we're closing above, we've got a strong trend the day before. And if we're closing below the bands, we've got a strong downtrend. So this is the Aussie Yen. I'll quickly go through them. Yesterday, we closed above the bands, so we have a strong uptrend. Notably, though, we're at resistance. On the daily, yesterday closed above the bands on the Aussie Dollar. I'm going to skip the Euro Yen. I'm not trading that one at the moment. It's rather sideways. Euro Yen, yesterday closed above the bands. So still in a strong uptrend. I do look at the candles as well. of the day before. I'm noting we got a spinning top getting close to resistance there. So that might just give me some thought of a reversal, but closed above the bands yesterday. Euro dollar, closing within the bands, no strong trend, but we've just traded up to resistance here. Discussed that yesterday. Pound yen, closed above the bands, strong uptrend, bit of a spinning top. Pound dollar, closed above the bands yesterday, still potentially in a good uptrend there. New Zealand yen, closing above the bands yesterday. Uptrend. New Zealand dollar uptrend, closed above the bands yesterday. Dollar Canadian closed below the bands yesterday, so downtrend. Dollar franc. Yesterday was questionable because the day before was on top of the bands, but yesterday we closed down, so now we have a downtrend there on the dollar franc. And dollar yen closed above the bands, but rather a negative candle. And so go through and you can determine the trend, but you need to look at as well what the candlestick pattern is. If it's giving you a reversal candle, then you might not want to trade in that direction today. And as well, if price has traded up to a significant level of resistance or down to support, you may not be wanting to trade either because you don't want to trade into resistance or support. All right, so those are the trends. Nothing much has changed since yesterday. And as I said yesterday, I was going to try and get my charts very similar to what they were yesterday when we finished, so we could just follow on from the analysis theme of yesterday and see what's changed, because that's how real trading is. Once you've done a full analysis, say on Monday morning, you're watching it from day to day, and maybe not much is changing in your philosophy of what's happening may not be changing. You're just waiting for an opportunity based on day to day. So I wanted to start with the dollar yen. And yesterday I showed you an opportunity that I took here. And I did put the stop to break even, but I felt like it would rally back up and take me out at break even. So I just decided to leave my stop above the final top. And I'm still in that trade. I have taken it to break even now. It's been moving down. So let's just go to the monthly chart. Discussed this yesterday. This is where you get the first clue what might be happening on this pair. We're at resistance on the monthly chart. There's a few levels here that I've drawn in. 3 tops across here of monthly resistance that I've drawn in. If I move it down to the weekly, I can tell you what those levels are more clearly. They're at, if you want to draw them in, they're at 114.72.6, next one, if I can get my mouse to tell me, 114.544. And then the next one's at 114.207. All right, if you look left, then there's 2 tops here in view, and the final one is more to the left, so you have to go to the monthly chart to find it. But there's 3 tops, an area of weekly / monthly resistance up there, and you can see the weekly candles rejecting up there. On the day chart, so back to the weekly as well, the weekly trend here is clearly up, okay? But we're headlong into resistance, major resistance based on the monthly chart. Daily trend is up. We do have a minor low here, 2 candles back from today, which is at 113.873. So if we break that minor low, that's going to start to show a bit of a change in trend on the daily to down. It doesn't change the weekly, but it's showing you we've got a change at a very strong area of resistance. And that's why I was looking at a trend line break opportunity to trade down from that area yesterday. For our chart, I was saying yesterday, if you wanted to be cautious, you'd wait for a downtrend to form. We've got a lower top formed. What we need to do is just push down through support here. And then the conservative approach to trade this would be to wait for a rally to occur, wait for that to fall over, start to put in a lower top, and then look for an opportunity to sell on a lower time frame. So we're getting a change in trend at the moment, there on the 4-hour. To the 15, as I said yesterday, there was that opportunity to maybe be aggressive, take a trend line break entry, put your stop above the final high, and it's been moving down from that entry. Today, earlier in the day, there was a trend line break here that you could have traded. Failure at the central pivot, trend line break has been moving down since then. At the moment, it's just holding on the 114 level. So this might pop back up. Sorry about my dog. He sometimes gets excited. All right. So this might pop back up. This level of support that we got drawn in from the high time frame could act as resistance as we move back up. But really at the moment, probably waiting for, there's the high of the day, this to move further down, put in the day's range today and look for price to rally back up tomorrow. Like it did today, it failed at the central pivot point and wants to trade down. We've already missed trading down from maybe the high of the day. So tomorrow, if it can do the same thing, fail at the central pivot point, and then can it trade down again? So I said that to you yesterday. As we head into today, maybe we'll start to see some failures at the central pivot points trade down, and there's one there earlier in the day. So I think on the dollar yen, we've got a clear trend change probably coming in on the day chart anyway at major resistance at the monthly level. All right, I want to go to the euro dollar. Yesterday I was discussing, let's go to my weekly chart. This weekly low here, 1664. I discussed that as a level of resistance, good strong level of resistance. Trend here is down, lower tops and bottoms, just having 1 or 2 weeks up. It's just a rally against the overall trend. We're rallying back up to weekly resistance. Quite see this on the day chart. Obviously, we're still trading today, but the last 3 trading days have either come just short of that level or touched it. So we rejected 2 days ago. Yesterday, we were a bit short. Today, we traded up in Asia, and then we've been rejecting. 4-hour chart there. MACD is just turning down. Okay, just crossing down. We've still got high tops and bottoms. High top, high bottom. Maybe this is putting in just a lower top or a double top here at the key weekly level of resistance. And the 1-hour chart is just changed the trend to down here. Now, earlier in the day, I saw this up here fading at that level of resistance or holding, and I thought that was a good opportunity to take a trade up there. So I've put it in on these charts just to show you what you could have done. Earlier in the day, we came back up to that level. You could have had an order there or be watching. You started to see it hold, sell, put a stop 20 pips above, and you can see it's moved down from that level. Highlighted to you yesterday, well, that the day before we had a trend line break that you could have traded down from that resistance. And simple trend line break would have done the trick as well here. Or like I did, I just traded at the level when I started to feel like it was holding there. And just, from experience, if you're up to a major level of resistance or support, certainly based on the weekly chart, and you're in Asia, so this is trading up to a very strong level of weekly resistance in Asia, it's very unlikely that the price will go through because there's not enough traders in the market to push it through. So if you do trade there in Asia, there's a chance that it will just pull back 10, 15 pips maybe. You can get the risk out of the trade. And then what does price do as we head into London? Okay, obviously this has been moving down from that level. So what I'm seeing here on this pair is quite clearly that we're trading back up. This is a day chart, back to that resistance area. And there's a high chance now that we may well hold at that resistance area and trade down longer term back to 115.24 support. That's weekly support at the moment. All right, so my bias is Now that we're potentially putting a 4-hour chart double top up here, that we could well see a failure and be moving down through the course of next week. So I will be looking for further opportunities to be a seller. I missed the best one up here today. Probably now, this may well trade down for the day. There's today's projected low. Then into tomorrow, you may well see price rally back up. Ideally, can it hold at or around the central pivot point, hold and fail, look for an opportunity to trade down tomorrow. Obviously, depending on what strategy you want to trade, we're holding at the central pivot point right now. You could be thinking, well, I want to trade now. Selling in this area at the central pivot point, putting your stop above somewhere, 20 pips above or at the next pivot point above. But for me, I've got no real trigger here at the moment, no trend line break. So I like to look for a clear setup. I'm not seeing a clear setup to initiate a trade, but I did see one earlier in the day at resistance. That's a very good example. Simple trade that's happened 2 out of 3 days at that level of resistance. All right, I'm just going to move from left to right now. I'm going to go through what we were discussing yesterday, see what price is doing relative to what I was anticipating yesterday. So this is the Aussie Yen Day Chart. I'm just going to move to the weekly for a moment. There's 2 weekly highs here. One's a monthly high that we traded down from and coming back up to test it. And yes, I took you to the monthly chart. You're going to see that the trend is up, high tops and bottoms, but we're trading into resistance. Weekly, high tops and bottoms, trading into resistance. And the question is, this 85, 86 area, is it going to hold? Are we going to get a long-term turnaround from that area? 2-day chart, we've had countless days up here, probably 9 or 10 days up. The market doesn't usually do that, and it can't keep going up forever before it will have a healthy pullback. Now, today we're having an outside reversal candle. It tried to trade up and above and through that monthly top at 85.80. Quite clearly, once it got above there, a few people got excited trying to trade it and push it through. But then maybe the larger traders of the market decided, okay, now it's time for us to get involved and get this thing moving back down. So we are seeing negativity today. It's just trading back down. So it's broken above that weekly top, failed. It's trading back down to this weekly top, which was resistance. Maybe it's acting as support. So to start to engage in the market, if you didn't get aggressive and sell it up here as it started to reverse today, then you probably just move to the 4-hour chart. Yes, the trend's turning down, breaking below a low here. You probably want to see this pair starting to move below that weekly area of support or resistance. Let it trade below it. Maybe then it will come up back up and that area will become resistance for you. That's an ideal scenario. If that area can become resistance for you, then it's game on really, because we could be moving all the way back down the whole range here where we traded up. All right, so 4-hour trend is turning down. It would be great if we could just break through that level of support at 85.18 from weekly hold high, and then feel a bit more comfortable then that you're not trading into the support area here. Of course, tomorrow, this has already moved down, so I don't want to be selling it at the bottom of today's move because we're beyond today's projected low. And if you've attended the webinar where I gave you that lesson, once we trade below today's projected low, there's a high chance this will pull back up. So a good area for it to pull back up to is this level of resistance that we false broke, lines up the central pivot point. So if it got back up to there today, that will be a great area to watch for an opportunity to trade down from. Trend line break, for example, or whatever other strategy you want to employ. All right, at the moment, it's too low down in the day for me to think about selling, but back up at that area, I would start to watch it. All right, moving along. Aussie dollar. Same deal, had a good reversal today. So to the daily chart, yesterday I was looking at this area of resistance at 75.03, lined up with a 50% fib from this high to low. That's the major monthly range. And you can quite clearly see that even though we're in an uptrend on the daily at the moment, we're having a significant reversal candle in the area of resistance at 75. We got above 75, we're moving back below. And as I said yesterday, if we just get rid of this fib, moving back to the monthly, for those that may not have been with us yesterday, this is in a downtrend on the monthly, lower top. This is a lower bottom to the minor bottom just here. So this is a downtrend having a rally. And we're just above last month's high. Weekly, yes, it's high tops and bottoms. So we have a weekly uptrend, but the major trend, the monthly, is down. So this is just rolling up against the monthly downtrend, and it could be coming to an end in this area. There's some old bottoms here on the weekly. If we put them in, more resistance. 75.32. Didn't have those in yesterday because we weren't in that area, but we are now. And there's another weekly support low there at 75.63. So what we've done today is 75.63 is traded into these areas, traded into one of them anyway, down to daily. So I had 75.03 in yesterday. We traded up to weekly resistance, old support, couldn't get up to the next level, and quite clearly reversing down. So that could be the area. Put my fib back in from the monthly range, high to low. We're back below the 50% level of the fib. And we're rejecting two of those resistance levels that I've got marked in on the chart. Now, I am quite aware that the day chart is up, but the highest time frame monthly trend is down. And I'm just feeling that that's the monthly range that we've had down. This is a rally against the overall downtrend on the monthly, and this could be where that rally is finishing before we have the next major leg down. So I'm just watchful for a good, safe opportunity to get engaged. For me, that would be seeing this 4-hour chart trend turn down, which it hasn't done yet. The last bottom is all the way down here. Last higher bottom's here, higher bottom, higher top. So what I'd like to see is this price action turn to lower tops and bottoms on the 4-hour. Not showing that at the moment. Like these turn down, but I'd like to see, at least see a lower top come in on the 4-hour and then look to engage. And I'd preferably like to get out, be a seller once we want to be comfortably below this area of support at 74.78. All right, so say the 4-hour chart turned down, getting back below 74.78, and then looking for a very nice opportunity to be a seller, because this could well be failing in the area that we're watching. I might trade all the way down, back down to 71.70 weekly support. 15-minute chart at the moment. This is why I want to see price get below 74.78. That's last month's high. It's holding here. See through this trading day yesterday, it was holding just above that level of old resistance, becoming support from the monthly high of last month, 74.78. So here it's holding. You can see the candles, they haven't touched down at 74.78 at the moment. So I'd like to see that break, because if it doesn't, it's going to move back up. Now, if it doesn't, if you're still a bull on the Aussie to US dollar, this is support here. If we get a trend line break up there, well, that's a buy signal if you're still bullish to trade back up, to retest the high up here. but we have seen, you know, a large negativity today from the top of the day. So I don't know whether I would like to be trading upwards against the negativity of the day. But at the moment, I don't see an opportunity where I want to sell. I would much like to see this break below 74.78 today, and then look for it to rally back up, maybe fail at central pivot to trade down. All right, Euro Yen. Discuss this area. This is the daily chart. Getting these levels from the monthly chart. Monthly high at 133.12. Further up, 134.124. At those levels drawn in yesterday. Trend on the monthly is up, but we're trading into resistance. Weekly trend is up as well. But you can see we were in and above this first level of resistance yesterday, wondering whether it's going to trade up to the next level, and the weekly candles rejecting. So resistance is being resistance. So we have a day chart spinning top at the resistance area where we traded through and then pulled back. Today you can see again that we traded above and we pulled back. So it's already done the range down for the day. So opportunity to trade today down will be remote. But if you're thinking, well, it's playing at resistance, we should be looking to trade down. The area to trade down to would be support at the moment. All right, we're going to be seeing that the 4-hour chart trend is turning down. So what I'd like to see is this just trades down a bit deeper. Then has a rally back up, maybe to the 62.79% retracement. And then looking for an opportunity in that area to look for a trend line break to trade down to the downside. So any upward movement back up on a rally really wants to hold out or below 133.12. Okay, so that's what we'll be watching for tomorrow. It's already done its move down today, so it might go down a little bit deeper, but it can't go down too much more for the day because I think it's already done its range for the day. So what we are also seeing here is some negative divergence to price action at monthly resistance. So that's why I'm expecting this to reverse back down, maybe down to daily support here at 113.73. So I'm showing you my game plan here, where I think price is going to go to, why I think it's failing up here. And then let's just move it down to the 15. So it's done the range for the day. It's met today's projected low. It might go a bit deeper down, but what I have to wait for now is price to move back up. Ideally hold below 133.12. Look for a trend line break to trade down from maybe that area, or trade down from the 133 area if that holds, or tomorrow, wherever the central pivot point is tomorrow, look for price to retrace back up and hold at that level. Look for trend line break. All right, so I'd love to be coming on doing a webinar showing you that the price is setting up immediately, but it's not always the case. So you have to look at how should I be looking at the market over the next maybe 12 hours, and where can I expect a setup to start to occur tomorrow or in 6 hours time. All right, euro dollar. So I showed you on this one already, covered this one already, showed the opportunity to trade down earlier in the day from weekly resistance. Pound yen, not really trading this at the moment because I'm just waiting to see. This is breaking through monthly resistance here, 2 resistance highs here. It formed a range at the top and we traded through. That's the weekly look. So my question is, those are the 2 lines from those monthly highs at 156.59 and 156.07. Is can price hold above that area? Because if it can't, so this is just, I'm just watching to see what it's going to do over the next week. If this moves back below these areas of hold resistance, then potentially then we're failing to false move up and should be looking to trade that back down to support. Olithme, you're asking me, what is the difference between Asian high or low and today's projected high or low? Well, the Asian high or low is just the range of price action that occurred within Asia. So if I go to the 15-minute chart on the pound yen here, this is where Tokyo opened, just here. So the Asian high or low, this is the high of Asia just here. And when London starts around about here, that's probably where Asia finishes. So the range for Asia today, just going to shade it in, is that area there. Because it's the session where Asia opens to where it closes. Okay. Then the other part of your question is today's projected high or low. That is looking at the whole trading day. So we have the Asian session, we have the London session, we have the New York session, 3 sessions. Some of those sessions overlap, but the today's projected high just bases, it factors in, have we yet done the high or low projection for the day across the trading sessions that we've had for the day at the moment? Okay. So when we go back to the euro yen, because I know that's met the whole trading range for the day potentially, well, that actually happened in the Asian session. Doesn't always though happen just in the Asian session. Sometimes we need the Asian session plus the London session for today's high to low range to come in. All right. So it can come in one session, or it may need 2 sessions or 3 sessions before that today's projected high or low range comes in. All right. So that's the difference. Hopefully that is clear enough to you. Thank you. All right. So back to the pound yen. I'm just waiting to see back to the monthly. Can we hold and remain above these monthly tops? Back to the daily, or do we trade back below? Because if we trade back below, could trade all the way back down to support here, or further down to a lower level of support down here. Could get complete false break and we trade all the way back down. So if we do get back below these levels of resistance, you should be then looking to think, okay, we're going to trade back down. I know at the moment this isn't a strong uptrend, but it's been up countless days. It doesn't normally do that before it pulls back. So I'm expecting a pullback. Might just pull back to old resistance becoming new support, but at the moment it's not a pair I want to engage in. Pound dollar showed you an opportunity where you could have traded down yesterday, which was a break of a trend line here. All right, let's just go through from the weekly chart. And yesterday I put in this line at 138 because it's a level that's been used quite a lot in terms of support and resistance over the last 2 or 3 months. And the weekly trend is a lower top to a lower bottom, and I've got a fib drawn across the range. And that range is actually last month's candle, the move from high to low of last month. So the trend on the weekly is down. We're just rallying back up. The day chart trend is up, but don't forget the weekly trend is down. And I explained to you yesterday, 138, if you go across the chart, how many times it was support here, resistance here, support here, support here, support here, support here, resistance here, more support here, more support here. It was support and resistance countless times, well, since February, over what? 5, 6 months. So that's why I'm expecting 138 to be an area where the market's going to maybe want to hold at. We've got lots of traders wanting to trade around the 138 level because they've done that before. Then we're at the 79% level at 138.05. So whilst the day trend is up, it's just a rally against a weekly downtrend. 4-hour chart. Yesterday it had put in a lower top, but then it's come up and created a double top. Once again, it's failing and wanting to move down. There's a bit of negative divergence. This is a fractionally higher top by a pip or two, but the indicator's not following. It's a lower top to price action. So it's giving you a warning that we may be topping out. It keeps having a go up there, but it's giving you a warning that we're topping out potentially. Maybe that's a false move. We're back below the 3800 level as I'm talking. And the 1 hour chart, this is fractionally higher here, just to that level. But the indicator is showing you negative divergence. So again, 2 time frames showing you negative divergence. Price action up here is putting in the slightly higher top to this top, but the indicator isn't. And the time frame trend has turned down here. A lower top, lower bottom scenario for me. And if you were watching this, would have been in the Asian session, and I don't like to trade the pound generally in the Asian session, but there was a trend line break. But we can't go back in time to trade that. So I'm expecting with that negative divergence that I'm seeing, the price action is going to be moving down. Not seeing anything that I want to trade at the moment. If you wanted to, you could have maybe traded that trend line break half an hour ago, but at the moment, we can't go back in time. So this may move down the range today. And then looking tomorrow for it to pull back a bit, maybe again hold at the central pivot point to offer you an opportunity to trade down from a good pivot point, acting as resistance, okay? So back to the 4 hour, what I'd like to see, because this could still maybe just pull back here, put in a higher bottom. This is slightly a higher top, put in a higher bottom and push through. I know we're seeing some divergence there, but what I'd like to see is that moves down, breaks below that low, turn the trend down, then has a rally. And as it starts to put in the lower top, that's where you want to start to look for an opportunity to sell. All right. Okay, now the pound dollar. So nothing's much changing. My philosophy, what I was showing you yesterday, isn't really changing today. Price is kind of failing in the areas I was hinting at yesterday. New Zealand yen. So the New Zealand yen, New Zealand dollar have been very strong. Weekly chart here. Let's go to the monthly chart first of all. This is where I started yesterday. I was just saying on this pair, it's in a strong monthly uptrend yesterday. I'm just wondering, can it trade up to this critical area of resistance and create a double top? Because if it double tops up there, if it holds there, that's then looking for a good opportunity to trade down. This is coming up to a key area where we could hold, and if it does hold, we could get a long-term move down this way. So in time at the moment, we're coming up to a critical junction of strong resistance. There's a weekly look. So the monthly and weekly charts are just in clear uptrends with high tops and bottoms. I just want to know what it's going to do up here. The closer this gets to this area, the less I want to be a buyer because I'm at resistance. So really, if you wanted to be a buyer to the daily, this is what, 10 days up nearly. This is probably going to pull back because the market never has generally more than 3 or 4 days up before it pulls back. So this is getting extremely exhausted. You can see we're having a very negative candle today in line with the Aussie Yen and the Aussie Dollar. We're not really at any key area of resistance because as I've showed you on the weekly, it's really these monthly levels up here are the key areas. I could just put in some weekly areas, squash this in a bit. Ahead of getting to those monthly levels, there's a weekly level here that we've touched today, 82,736. So we are at an area of weekly resistance, but it's not the major level that I'm watching. But maybe it doesn't want to get right up to the monthly levels. It just wants to touch that final weekly level there or get very close to it. So you'll see there on the day chart, still a bit short there on the day chart. Still short by, I don't know, 30 pips. So it's not really topping out at an expected level of resistance, but it is putting in a negative candle. I need to see a bit more information here to be starting to look to want to sell this. It's in a clear uptrend at the moment. This might just want to have 1 or 2 days down before it reasserts itself. So I'd much prefer to see this fail up at a known level of resistance. So I'm just monitoring that one at the moment from the day chart perspective. And the New Zealand dollar, take it to your monthly. This is very much like the Aussie dollar, as I said yesterday. Lower tops and bottoms on the monthly. This is in a downtrend on the monthly. Just rallying up. Maybe it's just rallying up, getting ready to put in its next lower top for its next move down. I'm not seeing anything there on the monthly that's telling me that the monthly trend is changing at the moment. I'm going to go to the weekly. What I'm going to do, just to show you, is that was the last monthly run up based on your monthly chart. Then it ran down, and obviously it's running back up. But if I take that level, measure it up, we're just a little bit above the last move up before a fall. So all things being equal, this is quite stretched in terms of a rally based on the monthly chart price movements. All right. So that being said, I'm still in the frame of mind. This is just a rally based on the monthly chart. Yes, the weekly trend is up in terms of a higher top, higher bottom. Try to trade through this top. That was last month's high. Last month's high here. And it's just making its mind up today. It's trading back down from a move up today. And it's just asking itself, can it hold above that level? Leave for me, you got another question regarding the high or low. Is today's projected high or low the same as the average true range? Well, today's projected high or low that the indicator does on the chart, it's based on the average true range across the last 5 trading days. So what the indicator does, it looks back over the last 5 trading days, looks at the range for the daily chart per candle, sorry, and then works out the average based on the last 5 candle ranges, and then plots it on the chart. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question for you. All right, so here on the New Zealand dollar, it's asking itself at the moment, can it remain above last month's high, or has it put in its top and it's want to move down? That's the range of the last monthly move down from high to low. Draw a fib across that range. And we're at 79% fib level. That's catching my attention. That could be where we're topping, putting in the top for the next big move down based on the monthly chart. Now, another day trend is still up. I'd like to see it move back below 71.70. So it's getting back below last month's high. And the same kind of story that I've been saying on a number of these pairs. I'd like to see the 4-hour chart put in a lower top or lower bottom, lower top scenario. Can it put in a lower top, maybe come back up, break below 71.70, put in a top, hold, move down from the area. That area now then acts as resistance. And then if that starts to occur, we could be trading all the way back down. Okay. Now, if price action holds above 71.70, holds that, today it's testing it right now. If we move it down to the 15-minute chart, we'll see the candles holding there. So it's pulling back from the 79% level to last month's high, 71.70. And if you're still a bull, you still think this is going to move up another 500 pips or another 200 pips, you can see 15-minute chart price action at the moment. MACD's turning up. We're just sitting above a pivot, so that's acting support. If you've got a bullish you're positive New Zealand dollar, then this is where you want to be a buyer to trade back up. But my philosophy is I think we're putting in the top on the monthly. But your philosophy might be different, and you might be thinking this is just going to continue going up. It's going to change the monthly trend over the next few weeks, and I want to get long. But my perspective is I'm using the highest time frame chart, looking at the trend on that, looking at where we've moved to, and thinking that we're maybe at the top of the rally. But that's just my viewpoint. You might have a different viewpoint. So if you've got a very bullish viewpoint, maybe we're in an area where price is turning around and you want to be thinking about buying. Or, this might move up anyway, back up to 72, then hold, and then trade down and break 71.70. So when I'm going through the charts myself, I'm trying to come up with a game plan, a long-term picture of the trend, and then try to create a game plan based around the long-term picture of the trend, depending on what I'm seeing. So my long-term picture of the New Zealand trend is that it's down based on the monthly, and the price action we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks is just a rally of that, going against that overall trend, and I'm feeling like we may have just peaked out at the top of that trend that we've been having over the last couple of weeks on the daily and the weekly, and then we might be turning back down longer term. Of course, intraday at the moment, I would say this is looking like it wants to pop up for a while. Okay, but this is why when I first talked to you in the webinars, as we get going through the beginner webinar series, starting with support and resistance and trend, I say to you that even though these charts are set up on the 15 minutes, when you download them and set them up, I'm not basing my overall scenario of trend and direction termination just based on a 15-minute chart. If I was, then right now I'd be saying I should be buying, but I'm doing it from the high time frame charts and then moving down. All right. Any questions before we conclude this evening? Hopefully you found that valuable. You've got some good levels that you can put on your charts. Use some of my trend determination, apply it to whatever strategy you're trading. Just going to click through, see what's been going on whilst I've been talking. So the Aussie dollar here still getting support at last month's high, just like the New Zealand dollar is getting support at last month's high. So maybe these still have some upward move yet. We all have to make our own decision about, do we still think there's life left in this upward move, or do we think it's topping out? Would expect the euro yen to move up in the short term because it's done its range for the day. This is a classic example of coming into the green zone of the pivots. We've done the projected high to low. It's stretched. It's in the buy zone of the pivots. It's probably going to bounce up in the short term. All right, euro dollar is just hanging around the central pivot. Pound dollar just pushing down a bit. The more this pound dollar wants to hold and keep below 138, the more negative my bias is. What's the dollar yen doing? Dollar yen still trying to negotiate the figure here, 114. So any trades that have set up, there was one yesterday, there was one today to the downside. These are all counter moves. As I was saying before, if we get back to the daily, that low point here, if we break below that low point at 113.87.3, let's take it to the 1 hour chart. That's that low point there. If we break below that low point, that's starting to turn the daily chart trend down. So at the moment, we're not quite breaking that level. The market's just holding itself above that level. So a break below 113.87, good clear break, starting to put the bears in control in the short term. At the moment, I think the buyers have just got control, only just. Okay. All right, I'll just give you a minute for any final questions before we conclude for this week. If you're on YouTube, I haven't been able to answer any questions for you because I can't see the chat. But if you've been on the YouTube feed and you'd like to attend the webinars, just go to acy.com, education webinars. And at the webinar page, you can register and then get into the webinar and you can ask questions. So this was today's. In fact, that's next week's now. It's already updated from today. Today's has fallen off. So this is next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, just doing analysis next week using the tools you've been teaching you in the beginner webinar series. Beginner webinar series will start on the 2nd of November, Tuesday the 2nd. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week, live market analysis, 8 o'clock Sydney time. Tuesday the 2nd of November, we're getting into the beginner webinar series. I've added in another 3 webinars to that series. And that week, understanding a candlestick chart and identifying candlestick patterns, that's a new one. Live market analysis on the Wednesday there. And another new one, I'll be explaining all the different all the different orders that you can use to get into the market. So that one's on trade orders and execution. And I'll show you how you can create market orders, stop orders, limit orders. And I'll get in the platform and go through and show you how you can execute all those trades in the platform. So you've got a very good understanding of all different order types you can use and how you actually do it in the platform. All right. Okay, everybody, no more questions are coming in. Alutha, hopefully I got your questions answered okay. Thank you for yours. All right, I'm going to call an evening. Thanks very much for your attendance this week. It's always appreciated. Stay safe. Have a great weekend. I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday the 26th. Okay, thanks everybody.